Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso, and I've got the girls out here, and I wanted to take the time, and I went back in, to do a video on temperament and explain to you guys, well first we'll talk about velocity, Eclipse. So a lot of people ask me where Eclipse is. They go to my Instagram account and they see that I had another dog and her name was Eclipse. And she looked a lot like Velocity. And that's because they have the same father. What happened to Eclipse is that despite the fact that she's a very beautiful dog, her temperament was not suited for breeding. And the reason for that is because she had what breeders call a weak temperament, okay? And what that means is that it's an unstable temperament. It's hard to train. They don't react well to new stimuli. And they oftentimes, they think of it like the dog version of something like Asperger's, right? It's not the dog's fault. They are born with it, but it is a complete lack of ability to be like everyone else in certain situations. It doesn't make them bad, doesn't make them evil, it doesn't any of that kind of stuff. It just means they're different. And while there's nothing wrong with them individually, you really don't want to continue breeding a temperament like that into the lines because it's dangerous, because dogs like that are hard to manage because they overreact to situations that don't call for it. They get aggressive when it's not necessary. They are unable to read body language, and they get extremely uncomfortable in certain situations. And there's really not anything that you can do about it other than put them up. You know, it's the same thing of like expecting somebody with Asperger's to just stop acting that way. It's not going to happen. It's the way that they're built, and to put too much pressure on them and be like, oh, well, you just need to be a better parent is the wrong thing to do, because it has nothing to do with a person's parenting skills. Blondie, come now. And so, Blondie, come. There's a person walking over there. And so anyway, and so that's what we refer to as a weak temperament, okay? So that's what she had. And what I did is I spayed her and I rehomed her. I found somebody that had experience with dogs that are shy and that do not, midnight, no ma'am, get your butt back over here now. Now. And so she is a vet tech. She has a Great Dane that was also very shy, doesn't like new experiences, doesn't like being touched by people, just a very shy, cautious dog. Also what I would consider to be, like a weak temperament, right? There's nothing good that comes from breeding a dog that is so terrified of everything that they have to be coaxed out of anything. You know what I mean? They need to be more like Midnight, less like Blondie, in the sense that Blondie gets really scared and freaks out, because when a dog gets scared and freaks out, it can end up really badly. Now hers I wouldn't call a weak temperament. She's just a little shy, not a big deal. She gets over it easily with training. A weak temperament will not get over it. There's not any amount of training you can do to fix that. It's how they're built, okay? So that dog has that, and Eclipse had that. And so I, like I said, I knew that she wasn't breed quality, and on top of that, because of her temperament, the other dogs always wanted to put her down. They always wanted to attack her, the same way that they get with Velocity sometimes, because I wouldn't say she has in any way a weak temperament, but she's definitely a little different. You know what I mean? And if you saw her in person, you'd see it. she's kind of like an ADHD kid that has a hard time focusing sometimes, right? And it doesn't mean that she's going to be a bad dog or a liability. It's just a different personality. So the other dogs, when she gets like that, when she gets all amped up and kind of forgets how to act, the other dogs like Cashmere will step in, even Preacher will, and put her down. And what I mean by put her down is put her into submissive posture. They will force that energy down. Okay, that's the whole point. They're being a referee, and they are doing their best to eliminate an energy that is not going to help the pack structure. And so, see, she's trying to avoid Blondie. Blondie wants to get her so bad. There we go. Boom. See, she knew it. She knew it. Anyway, so, on that note, Hawk Ridge Cane Corso has Bam Bam. A lot of people have seen Bam Bam, and they've asked me about him. They asked me what I thought about the video. Bam Bam has that same weak temperament. So I had advised to her that if she was going to keep a male puppy from her litter, that is the brother to Tennessee, that she would really need to consider rehoming Bam Bam. Okay. And the reason for that is because if you just have 2 dogs, then that's fine. You can have a dog like that, and it's not a problem. But if you have a pack, it becomes a problem, because the pack is going to put that dog down. And if you look in that video and you look and watch closely, you will actually see her brindle male, Legend, actually try to correct Bam Bam. They try to put him down at the same time that his mom steps in. And that is just a little show of what's to come, okay? Legend is going to be a gigantic dog. And the minute that he decides that Bam Bam is a threat, and the reason that he'll think he's a threat is because he is. Bam Bam can't even control himself. So it's not unreasonable for one of the pack members to see him as a potential threat, because he very well is. That's why he keeps, come on, he's literally trying to attack those puppies. That's not normal. If you think it is, you need to rethink things, okay? It's not normal. And so he's unstable. The mother knows it, and she's doing her best to keep him away, but it is the way it is. And, it's for people who think that, oh, well, she should just get rid of all her dogs and just focus on Bam Bam. No, she shouldn't, because the truth of the matter is she can rehome Bam Bam, which is what I've told her to do, to somebody that would appreciate and need him. So he's the perfect kind of dog for like a single woman who lives on her own and needs an overprotective dog like that, because he will love the person he's with. It's not a matter of like him not being able to love. He just can't really handle all the rest of it. So the same way that the female that I rehomed is with another female, and they're in that, it's a tight little family there between those two and her, and it works. And she's much happier there than she ever was at my house, where my dogs kept putting her down and were unhappy with her, and she was freaking out all the time. It's much better. And it is, I try to tell this to people all the time. If you think that holding on to a dog no matter what is being a good owner, you're wrong. Being a good owner means doing what is best for the dog. And if your home is not the best place for that dog, then you should find some place better. And Bam Bam would be better off in a home without a pack, without all the hubbub of the children. He's been known, when the kids get really rambunctious, he's been known to kind of freak out a little bit. So, and that's what you get with that weak temperament. They just don't know how to behave. They don't see things for how they are. And it's dangerous. And that's why he has to be put up most of the time. The last time we were there, this dog has met me before, but the last time we were there, he almost attacked Savannah. She had to go run into the bathroom, and he had already seen her. He's just like that. And they have done so much work on that dog trying to get him to be right. But I told her myself, I was like, you're asking too much. That dog can't be right. It isn't an issue of training. It's an issue of temperament, a genetic issue of temperament. And And there's no amount of training that's gonna work around that. She's either gonna have to keep him muzzled and keep him put up and hope to God that nobody ever lets him out at the same time, or, you know, she needs to rehome him to, you know, a place that he can be free and be happy and not be so stressed out and just be a good dog. And in reference to muzzles, I oftentimes encourage the use of a muzzle with a dog that is so aggressive that they won't think before biting. Okay, I worked with a boxer recently that was like this. He had already been so successful at biting other dogs and winning in any kind of conflict with his mouth that you couldn't get him to stop using it. You literally would have had to have beaten him. And of course, none of us are going to do that. So in order to teach him that he can't use his mouth, we have to force him to by taking it away from him. And we take away the, what did I say? No. There's people over there. She's trying to walk up to him. I blocked off her path to them, but she tried to go around me, so I had to check her. And so anyway, so if you have a dog that is just so, they just want to bite, that you just can't trust them, a good way to teach them to use something other than their mouth is to take the mouth away. Okay, so this dog was super, super aggressive, and he would just go nuts. And so what did we do? We put the muzzle on him, and then we took him out with my pack. And what did he do? Of course, he tried to attack my dogs, but he's got a muzzle on. And my dogs are cool. Like, I can control my dogs. So he kind of played a little bit of bumper cars off my dogs, you know, bouncing off of them. But, you know, eventually he learned, okay, this isn't actually working. This is kind of a waste of my time. And he started to interact with my dogs. And he started to learn how to behave like a dog again. And it only happened because he couldn't use his mouth. And there's no other way for us to do that other than to take it away from him, to use a muzzle. So I don't like using a muzzle. It's not something I want to do, but if I'm trying to help a dog and he just won't listen to me any other way, well, I'm not going to beat him into submission. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm a human. I'm going to use tools. I'm going to use my brain, and I'm going to put something on him that doesn't hurt him, but it prevents him from hurting anybody else. And a muzzle does that. It doesn't hurt him, but it prevents him from hurting other dogs. And he has to learn, oh crap, I can't bite anymore. How am I going to handle this situation? You know, how am I going to, you know, if I'm scared of these dogs or whatever, now I can't attack them. So now I actually have to do something different. And then you can start to train the dog again. Like, you know, when they can't just automatically bite, or go after for the to go for a fight, then you are able to call the dog off. Because a lot of people know this. If you have like a really aggressive dog, especially like dog aggressive, once they get it in their head that they want to go attack something, when you try to call them, they don't listen, right? So once you put that muzzle on and they learn that the attack is no longer a valid method of attack, then they stop, and you can get back to the point of being able to communicate with the dog again, to get them to realize you're not allowed to do that. You know, as soon as they start to get that fixation, that stare, they start to get a little too excited, you can call them back. And that is only possible because the muzzle shuts off the warrior part of the brain, and because they can't use it anymore. So it really is an excellent tool for people who have dogs that are just beyond the pale as far as aggression, you know, and behavior like that. They really are. So, you know, I'm not going to judge her for putting a muzzle on that dog. I'm the one who told her to do it. And I certainly won't judge her for rehoming that dog because I think that's what's best. It's best for him, and I believe that it's best for them. And she's the one who's trying her best to work it out. Whereas I'm a bit, you know, I am the kind of person that looks at a situation from a logical perspective. I put emotion aside, okay? I don't allow my emotions to get in the way of my ability to make logical decisions. And And rehoming a dog that isn't suited for your home is a logical decision. It might hurt your feelings. You might love that dog and miss that dog. But the truth is, when that dog is in a better situation for him, he's not going to miss you. That's just the truth of it. They don't live in the past. He's not going to miss you. So that is, once again, humanizing the dogs. Okay. I'm all for people keeping their dogs, and it's even on my contract that you can't just get rid of my dogs. But if somebody was to contact me and say, hey, I've got this dog from you, but it's got this horrible temperament and blah, 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 and I need to rehome it, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Now, granted, I don't see that happening with my dogs. We do a lot of temperament testing, as you guys see. We're hands-on. We work with them a lot. But if it ever did happen, make no mistake about it, I wouldn't judge the person, and I would do everything in my power to help them and get them, to help them find that dog a better home, somebody that's suited to handle that kind of temperament. So it just is the way it is, and we need to not be so judgmental. We need to try to be open-minded and, look at a person and say to yourself, is this a good person? Are they making good decisions? Are they, and if they are, then have a little bit of faith and maybe look at it and say, well, maybe there's a reason they're doing this. And instead of judging, ask, say, hey, I don't really understand this. So could you explain to me maybe why you're doing this? Because you might find that the answer is something you never thought about, and maybe you learned something instead of just judging and making accusations. So, Samantha is a mother first, a breeder second. And she, as far as I know, has never been a professional trainer, and she's never claimed to be. So if you're looking for training advice, she's, I don't know that she would disagree with me. She probably would tell you not to go to her, because it's not what she does. I mean, she loves the dogs. I think she's great with them. I really do. I think she's a natural, which is why I've really tried very hard to keep her in the community and to keep her breeding, because I think that the community needs good people like her that have their heart in the right place, that are honest, that can recognize quality dogs and focus on breeding them. So I got nothing bad to say about her, but like I said, I mean, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and she's just she's not a dog trainer. You know what I mean? And so and there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're talking about most breeders just keep their dogs in kennels, and they hardly ever even mess with them. Even show breeders do that. They from a very young age, the dog is in a van or a truck or however they transport them from. Geez, you guys, they transport them from show to show to show all over the nation, and they're just in a kennel until they're shown, and then they take them out of the kennel and they walk them around, and they put them back in the kennel. So. It's being just a natural dog trainer and all that isn't for everyone. And I will say that even despite that, I've seen, Samantha has done things with her dogs that I never told her to do, that I felt that showed that she's a natural. So, Bam Bam is not an example of her ability as a dog owner. He's just not. It's purely genetic. It's purely temperament. In the same way that it was with Eclipse. And it just happens sometimes. If you've never had to deal with a dog like that, then that's awesome, and that's good for you. But for those of you that had, you probably know. I'm sure that I'll get comments down below of people being like, oh my God, I had a dog like this, never realized that's what it was. Because people just don't talk about it enough. A lot of breeders don't like to be honest about that kind of thing, because nobody wants to admit that there's a possibility that they could ever produce a dog that just could have a really bad temperament. And there's nothing that the person could do about it. So, but it happens. Nobody wants to have a child that has issues either, and yet it happens. So what do? We deal with it, and like I said, if the dog is in danger there, which is what I believe that Bam Bam is in danger in that house. It not because of anything Samantha's doing, but because of a pack. If she only kept 2 dogs, that would be one thing. But she doesn't want 2 dogs. She wants a pack. She's like me. We like a lot of dogs. And unfortunately, a dog like that makes it impossible, because he will get attacked. He'll cause problems and he'll get attacked, just like Velocity does sometimes, and I have to get onto her. And luckily hers is just immaturity, and it'll be trained out of, and it's manageable. But it was not manageable with Eclipse, Eclipse, which is why she's not here. Okay, if I thought I could have managed her, I would have kept her, but it wasn't, and it was a liability to my pack. And it was a liability to my breeding program. As a responsible breeder, I cannot breed in a temperament that is dangerous and is really not conducive to maintaining the breed, the breed reputation, right? I'll do more harm than good. So that's just the way it is. So please try to be more open-minded going forward. Let's all try to be a community and work together to learn together, and not be so judgy and spiteful and mean with each other, okay? I'm gonna go inside. I'll update you guys on the property, because we did actually, the house is there, so I'm gonna do a little bonus video tonight on that. But anyway, I'll let you guys know how that goes, and we'll see what happens. So y'all have a good day, and I'll talk at you later. Bye.